College of Business at Georgia Tech. I'll be teaching this course on data analytics in business, and this module is on linear regression. There are 8 lessons in this module. The first one is on the various steps involved in regression analysis, which is a very iterative process. The next lesson is on an example data set which we'll use throughout this lesson. Lesson C is about the commonly used notation in regression analysis. We follow that up on the commonly used terms R squared and adjusted R squared and define them. Lesson E is on how to use R to do simple regression analysis. Lesson F and G extend that to multiple variable regression and show how R squared and adjusted R squared are calculated. Finally, lesson H is about using regression to do prediction. The steps in regression analysis, as I mentioned earlier, are numerous and there are lots of iterations that are involved. Step 1 is knowing exactly what problem you're addressing. The second step is to have a clear understanding of the type of analytics that you plan to do. Is it diagnostic, understanding why, predictive, what's going to happen, or prescriptive, what to do to make something happen. This in turn affects step 3, which is selecting the relevant variables. Step 4 is determining where you're going to get the data. Are you going to get it internally in the firm? Are you going to get it externally with partners? Are you going to purchase the data, run experiments, or something else? The next step in regression analysis is step 5, which is the choice of the fitting method. In this module, we use ordinary least squares. In step 6, we actually use the software to fit a model using the data that we've collected, and then we get estimates of the parameters of the regression. Step 7 is about diagnostics, which actually we'll cover in the next module of this course. Step 8 is to reflect on the model and improve it. Finally, the model is ready for its intended use. As I mentioned, building a regression model is an iterative process. As you follow the regression steps that we've seen so far, you may have to add variables, transform variables, add interaction terms, and as the modeler, you have to be satisfied that you've taken adequate care while developing your model. We're going to go through some business examples of where regression is used. I'll list a few examples to illustrate the broad variety of applications where we use regression in business setting. The first has to do with pricing of used cars, where how that is related to its mileage, its age, and its condition. The second example is the effect of advertising on sales. The third example addresses an operations issue. How much does work experience impact the time taken to repair a product? The fourth example is from e-commerce. What is the contribution of a product's rating and price on the likelihood of that product being added to a shopping cart? The fifth example is how to set starting salaries for new employees based on their work experience and years of education. The sixth example is setting the sale price of a house using its size, number of bedrooms, and its location in a city. The second last example is from finance. Will a customer default on their loan, and how that is associated with the credit balance, income, and age of that customer. The last example has to do with customer churn and how that is impacted by a customer's length of contract and age of that customer. Before we go on to the next lesson, let's take a short quiz. Take a moment to answer these 2 questions. Could a variable, say price, be either a dependent or an independent variable? The answer is true. We've seen a few examples in the previous slides. So depending on the purpose of your model, see examples 1 and 4 in the previous slide, price could be either a dependent or an independent variable in a regression. The next question, a variable that takes binary values, that is pass, fail, or true, false, cannot be a dependent variable. The answer